Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. Welcome into this Friday edition of the HyperX D2L Season 4. Got a North American showdown on the way. Going to be Evil Geniuses taking on Team Liquid. Now, both of these teams have made their debut in the D2L over the last couple of days. And unfortunately for both, not exactly getting the start they wanted. Both teams seeking their first win here today. And both teams, well, I mean, obviously one's going to be coming out on the right side of the win column. Let's take a look at how these two teams stack up in terms of their rosters. Leading off with Team Liquid, as we can see, they've only been in play once so far. 0-1 their start, so certainly not in too deep a hole. They're led by Fluff and Stuff on the support jungle position. He will unfortunately not be present today. Had some personal things come up, so there will be a stand-in for Fluff, and that's going to be a big detriment to Team Liquid, something they're going to have to work hard to overcome. They've got TC in the hard carry position with Bulba holding down mid. Koikva in the off lane and way too sexy over on the hard support. Bulba, of course, especially with Fluff's absence, going to be the leadership position, at least in this match. And pretty much most of the time, Team Liquid's lineup does function around Bulba. He has to be a big playmaker in any series they play in. And again, missing one man today, they're going to need a solid performance out of him. On the other side of the river, Evil Geniuses. Now, EG is really just one of those schizophrenic teams that they'll show you something you love to see. They'll show you all the potential that this unbelievably experienced and talented roster happens to have to offer. But they are still having problems closing things out properly. Fear, the support jungler, of course, one of the most well-known players on the planet and a great leadership, great guy when it comes to the leadership role. Jo in the hard carry position, MSS and mid, and MSS we'll talk briefly about. Universe out in the off lane with Fog on hard support. Now, most of these players, Fear, Jo, Universe, and Fog, all international participants, not necessarily with EG, Universe, and Fog. Universe actually played with EG and Dignitas on the big stage in Seattle. Fog, of course, a part of Dignitas last year. He was on the big stage. MSS, though, he's the real question mark right now, and I don't mean that as in questioning his talent. We've seen him stand in. We saw him stand in all throughout 2013 for a number of teams and really made a name for himself, and everyone kind of knew following the conclusion of the International that he would find a home on a professional squad at some point. Now that he's found it, though, he's having to go through those growing pains, that experience gaining process where you simply can't substitute professional level experience on a day in, day out basis. Still a great player, but still very much in the middle of his development. Now, these two teams, as you can see, 0-1 and 0-2, sitting near the bottom of the standings. We'll take a look at the full standings now, just to give everyone an idea and context of where things are headed. And I don't think it's going to surprise anyone to see that number one position occupied by Alliance. They're 5-0, only two more series left for them to play here in their Western schedule. If they can lock down both of those, obviously they're going to be the heads-on favorite to advance directly to Las Vegas as our grand finals approach in January. Na'Vi hasn't quite played that many matches, sitting at 2-0. Nice start for them, but really that's going to be Alliance's big test, and vice versa. Na'Vi and Alliance set to square off, if I'm not mistaken, on our last day of regular season play, and very high probability that match is going to determine who directly qualifies to Las Vegas. Right behind them is Fnatic, who's got 3 matches under their belt. They're on the wrong side of 500 right now, sitting at 1-2. They have looked very, very good. And both of their losses, by the way, have come to Alliance and Na'Vi. So of the remaining teams outside of the top 2, one would imagine Fnatic is going to come in favored against every other squad unless some of these other teams can really get things together and start stabilizing themselves. Fnatic, along with Na'Vi and Alliance, by far the most stable post-international Western team going. Virtus Pro 1-2. They did manage to sneak a win in. They have dropped a couple, though, to Alliance and Na'Vi both, so they're right in that same boat. Evil Geniuses, as mentioned, 0-2. Dignitas has yet to make their debut. Still the one team remaining that needs to get in their Western schedule. They will be playing a very packed Western schedule here in the D2L looking ahead to next week. Then, of course, Mousesports and Team Liquid bringing up the rear, 0-2 and 0-1. Thanks for joining us once again, guys. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers, ready to get this match underway. The draft already in progress. Once again, Evil Geniuses versus Team Liquid coming up next. Stick with us here on the HyperX D2L. We'll be right back. And as you can see, the draft well underway. 3 heroes out on both sides. Lifestealer, Visage, and Crystal Maiden, the pickups from Team Liquid, while EG has snagged themselves the bat for MSS. We got to see that in action yesterday. Venomancer and Juggernaut, very early aggressive, very push-oriented lineup coming out quite quickly for this Evil Geniuses squad to help break down the draft and, of course, lend his insight and analysis to each and every game here on the HyperX D2L. Welcome in once again, Ben Merlini-Wu. Now, Ben, we saw MSS's Bad Rider in action yesterday, and we talked briefly about it during their match. It's not phenomenal, but it's good. His decision-making, a little iffy here and there, but for the most part, he handles the hero well. And with EG snagging that hero up as early as they have, very much a 6.78 hero that has largely fallen off in popularity since then. Seems like MSS likes the hero, and EG really likes the way that their composition feels with him on the bat.
Yeah, I like that they're not shying away from it, even though they lost with it yesterday. It's clear that he's inexperienced compared to some of the other players, especially against a team like Alliance. You can't expect him to not make mistakes. And he did make mistakes, but it's not something that's uncorrectable. And I'm glad that they still have faith in him. A lot of times when you lose series, they're like, oh, man, it was probably like he did get caught out a lot. And he was one of the main reasons why they fell so far behind. But they just need to keep putting him in the role. Evil Geniuses needs to find stability, and this is one of the ways to do it. Just keep picking the same hero for MSS, and especially if people are going to let Batrider through. Not that Batrider's that big of a threat, unless it's S4s, but it's still, you can tell that MSS has potential, too.
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you look back to earlier this year, I saw MSS ring for Team Liquid quite a lot back then, and obviously now playing for EG full-time. You could see it even then. The guy has so much potential. And when he gets into a groove and gets into his own, he is as good as anyone you're going to see, really. I mean, he has all the mechanical skills. He certainly has the personality, and he seems to mesh really well with a variety of players. And that's, of course, just as important as anything else. But all of that's outside of the game. Looking at Evil Geniuses snagging up the Mirana now, this is definitely a big-time aggressive lineup. But so is Team Liquid's, grabbing the Lifestealer out. And weird to see a first-pick Lifestealer. Just don't see that too often. Visage, very popular. Crystal Maiden, no surprise. And the Timber coming out in the second-pick phase. When I look at EG's lineup versus Team Liquid's, I mean, they're both very similar, really. They have, I want to say there's a little bit more team fight potential on the side of Liquid just because of how early the Timbersaw is going to be able to get into play. Crystal Maiden's going to be a phenomenal roamer, whereas EG, for the most part, strikes me as a squad that's going to want to just farm early, stay stable, then get everyone together and start moving around as 5 on the back of Juggernaut's early damage potential. Batrider, of course, a great initiator. And Venomancer adds a decent amount of push to this squad, especially in conjunction with Juggernaut's healing ward. So combine that with Mirana's Moonlight Shadow, and Team Liquid's going to have to stay on their toes. They can't really fall asleep at the wheel. Now getting the Storm Spirit, that's going to be a nice vehicle for the Nakes Bomb. And, yeah, this is going to be a pretty even match, I think, based on the draft.
I'm very surprised that they picked the Juggernaut this early. It's like, it's not particularly good versus any of their heroes. It's not particularly bad, but it's not particularly good. They could have gone with a different choice of carry had they wanted to. I guess Weaver was already banned out, but there are better anti-Lifestealer solutions. But I guess they just want to be able to burst them down, and if they catch Lifestealer out farming alone, which she does very often, Lasso into Omnislash will be able to kill him very quickly. But I mean, you could just do like an Alk Stun or something like that. Storm Spirit, I think one of the best pickups for Liquid right now. Puck already banned out. Queen of Pain kind of fallen off. It's difficult to play that hero to its full potential. Storm Spirit just a lot more room for error and just very good at snowballing. And doesn't require BKB as much as Queen of Pain. So all in all, I think the lineups are fairly even. Sand King is pretty good with the instant stun. Being able to pick off a hero like Storm Spirit without having to use Lasso is going to be very important for them. And they have the SK Pod, a very old school strat that I'm sure Fear knows is very strong.
Oh yeah, seeing Fear on the Sand King. He's one of the very few support players who really does prioritize the SK. I mean, it's not like something he's going to play every game or anything like that, but anytime they want a reliable stun and want to shore up their magic damage output in the mid game, Sand King is kind of a go-to for Fear. And he plays a phenomenal Sand King. His instincts with the hero, his ability to get things done with the hero early on in the laning phase. And as we know, I mean, the Sand King is rather weak in the laning phase, so quite a big deal to just have the instincts and the experience on the hero and to consistently play the hero enough to not overextend or not underestimate or overestimate what your capabilities are. But as you mentioned, the way he's going to work as a lead stun for Mirana Sacred Arrow, quite good. And something that I really like about it, and granted, the Lifestealer, of course, is not going to worry so much about Epicenter so long as he's on time with his rages. But the Timbersaw is going to be going to face some problems off of that. Timber usually, you see him want to get up Arc Boots, go straight for a Bloodstone, just tank up that way, and then rely on his reactive armor to make him survivable in the meantime. And high damage output on the on the Epicenter, plus the damage output that a Venomancer can have with his Poison Nova as well as his Venomous Gale, of course, upgraded in 6.79 to the later stages having pretty decent damage output. That Timber is going to face some problems in terms of survivability until he gets up his full Bloodstone and builds a handful of charges or so.
I like that EG has a lot of magic damage, though. If they catch someone in the Epicenter and Blink combo, they're just going to, like, fall apart. Usually a hero like Timbersaw you think is very, very tanky and Visage, too, but they just have so much damage coming out. But they have to execute properly. They have to find farm on Sand King. So I think that the main heroes to watch on EG are Fear on the Sand King and MSS on the Bat Rider here. He usually farms an early Blink, but can he make something happen? Fogged may give up first blood here. It looks like he will not. And on Liquid, pretty much just watch the Storm Spirit, and Lifestealer are just going to do what Lifestealer does. So probably Storm Spirit plus Timber are the main heroes to watch.
Early on, I think the stand-in Valera's play on Crystal Maiden is going to be very important. I mean, you pick your Crystal Maiden, you're going to want to roam, or you may jungler for a while, get some levels. But to get the most out of the hero's early game potential, you're going to want her putting pressure on in a variety of ways and in a variety of places. So given he is the stand-in, early play from him could dictate things. Not necessarily absolutely, but will certainly have an influence on the way Liquid's going to stack up, as you mentioned, against that high damage output EG is going to have on the back of their magic damage. So as the horn blows, let's take a look at who's handling who. Fear is mentioned. He'll be on the Sand King with Venomancer played by Fog, narrowly dodging a potential first blood. He came real close to being caught out by Liquid there in the jungle. Juggernaut will be farmed up by Jail with MSS. Another one to watch by Merlini. He'll be on the Bat Rider here in mid with Mirana, played by Universe. On the other side of the river, we've got TC farming up our Lifestealer. In mid, the matchup going to be Koikva versus MSS. He'll be on the Storm Spirit. Visage will be played by Wei2. And looks like they're putting some pressure onto Bulba. But Bulba, with the first point of reactive armor and Stout Shield, really just going to shrug off most of that auto attack damage we can see. Taking a little bit of harassment here. And there's going to be another Burst Strike and the Sacred Arrow. Bulba might have overextended here. They might think about diving him. He is pretty low. Can Universe? One or two more auto attacks might have done it, but instead Bulba going to make it away and be able to salve up.
Yeah, very smart by them, knowing that they can't actually kill him from full HP, so just getting him that very close to critical HP range. Wei2 getting that DD on bottom, but not really able to do that much with it. TC seems like he's doing okay in terms of farm. Looks like Storm's doing very well in middle. 7-0 on him.
And Jo certainly having enough for him to do what he wants to do. We'll resume our lineup run. Wei2, as you mentioned, will be on the Visage. Timbersaw, played by Bulba, came close to being dead there, but not quite. And Valera, as mentioned, the stand-in today for Fluff, as he's unable to join us. He'll be on the Crystal Maiden doing his thing in the jungle.
Yeah, that's somewhat problematic for me. Fluff generally is like the play caller for their team, and even if Valera performs well, it's not to say, or it's tough to say whether or not Liquid performed to their full potential, just because he is the main shot caller and is the one that's always looking around the map, always telling people where to go and what to do.
Yeah, and I mean, Bulba, an experienced player, I would imagine it'll be Bulba sliding into that role in Fluff's absence. Bulba, has served in that role at times with other teams as well, so don't think they're going to be completely handicapped in that regard. But as you mentioned, I mean, Fluff, that's just what he does, and that's one of the most important things he brings to any team he's on.
For example, like Valera has an Invis rune, but he doesn't have a Clarity Potion, and most Crystal Maidens would have Clarity Potions, so they can play aggressively. If he wants to play aggressively, he's going to have to sit there for like a good 20 seconds, and the opportunity may present itself. Bat Rider already has Flame Break or Firefly back up.
Yeah,
get his spells right. Ooh.
That is such a nice thing to point out, Merlini. Just little things like starting items and what you usually want to do based on how a team wants to play a hero. And lacking, we're going to see this Invis rune go completely to waste by Valera. And
opportunity gone.
Yeah, that's such a great point to make, Merlini. That's why we have you on, man. It's great insight.
And bottom lane, it's very tough for Jo to find farm, and this is one of the problems with Juggernaut. He's not that good in a lane. Like as opposed to Lifestealer. They both have magic immunity, but Lifestealer can just right click way easier than Juggernaut. He has 13 more damage than him right now, and this is even going with a boots first build too, and no stats. So Jo, he has 15 less base damage, and he has to worry about Feast too, and it's just not the greatest pickup unless they can make good use out of the push. Fog is definitely in a lot of trouble.
And here we go. Fog caught out and will be cleaned up as Valera takes the first blood. Wei2 might end up being a return kill. One or two more auto. Oh, good deny. Lifestealer denying way too sexy. So even though the scoreboard reads 1-1, in all practicality, 1-0 with the first blood going the way of Liquid. Well played there.
Yeah, the Fog was definitely unaware of this ward over here, so maybe they need an observer ward of themselves. Crystal Maiden just kind of roaming around in this area, and they really have no idea where they are because their observer wards are all on the top side of the map.
TC eating a lot of damage here.
Koifa at mid.
Yeah, TC might end up... Yeah, TC is going to not be able to rage here in mid. We're going to have an engagement as well. We're going to see the Sand King dropping. So they end up trading 1 for 1, bottom for top, or excuse me, mid for bottom. And, and this is kind of what I think we expected. A lot of punching and counter-punching. That time, Valera didn't put let the room be wasted, made use of that haste. And now they're going to chase out Jo. There's the Frostbite as he loops around. TC, though, not wanting to engage, only had the single point into open wounds, probably not feeling like he could catch up in time.
Yeah, good movement by, excuse me, the supports in mid. I think if they weren't there, they would Koifa would have definitely died, and it would have just been a simple 1-for-0 trade. But they managed to snag Fear in the process. The only saving grace is that MSS didn't actually die. He's well on his way to Blink. He's doing fairly decent in terms of CS, but not compared to Koifa. Koifa has 30 CS compared to MS's 19.
Yeah, and no, part of that, the reduced attack damage that you start with on the bat now in post 6.79, and it really is hard to accurately grasp until you're actually trying to play. Hold on, Jo going to be caught with open wounds, and TC just going to heal up on it. It would seem not going to commit overly to it, but it is easy to neglect just how much that reduces his effectiveness in those one-on-one situations. And a very well-played Sword Spirit. I mean, Koifa is such a talented young guy, and really making his Dota debut earlier this year on Mouse Sports. I think he's developed into a really nice player and a really good pickup for Liquid in the offseason.
Yeah, I think he is a really good player, and he's flexible too.
Oh yeah,
Bulba is usually their mid player. Now it's Koifa. He has a fantastic Nature's Prophet as well as other heroes too. So he's I like their lineup right now.
You know, you kind of touch on something in a roundabout way that I think we're beginning to see is like with the efficacy of the defensive tri-lane really being reduced hugely in 6.79. I think we're beginning to see teams get away from the idea of off lane and mids, and it's just solo players. It's basically you're a solo player, you're a lane player. And Koifa played off lane for Mouse Sports, going back to their success last year, and qualifying their way into the international and such. But I think
they might go on mid. Watch MSS.
Valera. Right there, will drop down the ward, and they're going to jump right on him. Here comes the Vortex. Valera's going to waddle his way up. We'll get the Frostbite off after the Nova. Here comes the TPN. MSS very low, though. Don't up. Fear right there with the Burrow Strike and a Flame Break is a big return kill. Universe whiffs on the Sacred Arrow. Valera manages to make it back behind the tower. Looks like Bulba has a connection issue as he disconnects. So a little bit of aggression out of Liquid. And really, I don't know that there's much they could have done better there. More or less, Koifa just standing in the the Firefly damage with a couple of stacks of sticky napalm. I mean, Valera was there pretty much on time. Just very nice reaction out of EG and Fear helping his buddy out.
It was good positioning by MSS too. Like he was standing right here, like right at the top of the stairs, and that's inside of the observer ward. And the supports actually were just sitting like 600, 700 range back or like close enough with the TP scroll, and they can't actually see it. That's one of the problems with this observer ward. It doesn't actually see the TP, which is one of the reasons I don't like placing it there. I would much prefer it like on the left side on the Radiant's own hill, because if you can't see that TP scroll, you're going to overcommit a lot of the time. Even with a hero that should be easy to escape with, like Storm Spirit, you zip in, someone TPs, you just zip out, no problem. But MSS didn't even use Lasso, which is ridiculous. So like now he can TP to another lane, gank, maybe get a high priority kill on TC. So that was a very, very good exchange for EG there. They did TPX2, but they're just leaving Bulba alone up top. Timber's Timber. You're not going to be able to stop him from farming, as we saw earlier.
Down near bottom, Jo just a little bit short of being able to perhaps take a shot at TC. Fogged has a Gale up. If he can get the Gale up in Jo, he is so close to level 6, only about 29. Experience. There's no creeps around, so he won't be able to get it. But this would be such a good dive attempt if he were level 6. He could simply Omni slash TC. but not going to be the case. And Omnislash plus the Gale really would cause a problem, but oh well.
These two guys trying to like compete in the move speed war. TC and Jay's items are like almost exactly the same. They're like, I want to get boots so I can run away from spin. It's like, I want to get boots so I can spin. It's like, I want to get phase boots so I can spin. I want to get phase boots so I can run away from spin. And it's kind of funny to see that like back and forth.
Dual force staffs calling it now.
Yeah, dual Yasha, Asian Yasha.
That's right.
And drums, and then blink daggers.
And the supports do nothing but watch the runes to guard for a haste. But anyway,
they're going to be hasted. Mask of Madness.
There you go, Mask of Madness. Looks like TC giving us the update. His internet DC'd, so we'll have Bulba back in a moment. For now, I want to thank everyone for being a part of the broadcast. Again, this is the front end of another doubleheader here on the D2L Western Division. We're going to be rolling with doubleheaders, at least doubleheaders. I want to say we have at least one more tripleheader next week or something. I'd have to double check. But every day from now until the conclusion of Western play coming up about 10 days from now, you can tune in starting at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and catch at least 2 best of 3s here in the HyperX D2L. And, of course, on Sunday and Monday, we finish up our Eastern Division play. And LGD looking like they're going to be running away with the direct qualifying spot coming out of that Eastern Division. So barring some kind of true disaster or cataclysm, they've pretty much punched their ticket at this point and are on their way to Las Vegas. And after that, though, it does get a little dicey. We still have a couple of matches left, and teams like DK and Victus all still in the mix, and Vici Gaming making a nice run through the East. So looking forward to that. And I think the storyline here in the West Dome really neat, especially having seen Alliance and Fnatic play and Fnatic and Na'Vi play. Fnatic losing both of those. I don't think anyone's going to be surprised if it comes down to 2 undefeated records with Alliance and Na'Vi playing to determine who direct qualifies to Vegas here out of the West.
This, shaping up to be very exciting. I think EG showed, especially yesterday, that they have what it takes. And if they play just a little bit better, they would have beaten Alliance. Which, if you asked me 2 days ago, is EG going to beat Alliance, I would have just laughed and guffawed in your face.
Guffawed.
But, it was a very, very close series, and even with the Axe pick, they played for real in the third game, and that was really what impressed me about EG. So they're have an early lead in this game too.
Yeah, 7 minutes in, we can see a little bit of a lead, about 1,200. Without a tower down, that's a solid mechanical lead. And Jo and Fog continuing to find their farm here. We'll keep an eye on MSS, as you'd mentioned. He's just now making it back to base. He's not quite halfway to his blink, but a little over a third of the way. And it wouldn't surprise me to see him, as you said, try to go get a kill somewhere with Lasso up and off cooldown. Is he just going to head out? He's got a TP. Universe is there, too. Universe level 6 does have Moonlight Shadow, so EG's arsenal beginning to fill in terms of weapons they can use to make things happen, even in this early stage.
They need vision very badly, though. If you look on the map right now, Liquid has a little bit of vision on bottom, and they have full vision on mid, especially with a Sentry Ward, too. And to get good ganks going, they just simply need vision. And like JO's not going to be, or sorry, MSS, I keep saying JO for MSS, but JO's not going to be able to find any opportune kills if they have no idea where anyone is on the map. He always has to worry about like a counter initiate with just open wounds while he's blink lassoing, or Storm Spirit jumping on him while he's lassoing too. So they need to set some vision up around the map so they can prepare for how Liquid's going to move.
Ooh, Universe.
Very good reaction.
Oh yeah, so quick. We saw him making his way around, and Universe able to get the leap off while Storm was still in transit. Fear in mid here. I love that they're giving Fear a little priority, and wow, they still managed to dive.
Yeah, he just was up too close and got Vortex.
Down at bottom, we've got the Venomancer dying. TC going to pursue this out. He's got his phase boots up, but unable to pursue him out. So Team Liquid does have 4 in bottom right now. MSS is hooked up with Fear. I was going to say, the fact they're giving Fear a little bit of farm priority and getting him to 6 as quickly as possible is going to allow them to capitalize on what we both liked about their lineup, is how much magic damage they will have at their disposal so long as they do get their heroes on par with levels.
They need blinks badly. MSS is 500 away from his, and Koikfa picking up an invis. Looks like it's Jo trying to desperately kill way too.
Yep, going to end up dead because of it. And didn't have enough mana to do much of anything. Yep. And MSS...
He needs a magic one.
Going to lasso out Koikfa. And that's going to... Oh, he's actually going to be able to jump away from it. And Universe dives after him. He might end up dead because of this. There's Fog, though, and the Burrow Strike plus the Gale. It's going to allow them to turn it around. Valera there to try and help out. Going to land the Frostbite on MSS. He'll be able to retreat. So a lot of rotations and a lot of back and forth early. And again, we both kind of called this based on the compositions. Once things began to break down, we knew they would stay pretty broken down. And sure enough, EG and Liquid showing us 9 kills in just about 10 minutes.
And Blink Dagger online for Batrider. So 2-0 on him. He took out a triple camp, and that's very, very good for EG. The earlier they can get the Blink, the earlier they can put pressure on heroes like Storm Spirit and Lifestealer. Those are the 2 most important heroes to kill. If they go on Timbersaw, I mean, he's like a decent to kill, but if he just gets caught in the AoE, he's most likely going to die. But you really want to pick off Lifestealer or Storm Spirit. On the other side of the map, Liquid, they need to start making use of Nake's bombs if they want to gank. They also need like slightly more farm on Lifestealer too. I guess he's pretty close to his drum, so he's not doing too poorly. And Jao's died once, so both carries not doing amazing in terms of farm, just both contributing and dying.
See, Fogged and Fear have rotated down the bottom here in mid. We've got Valera there with the double damage MSS in a safe position on the other side of the river, though, so it looks like both teams are willing to back up at least for a little while. Koikva has taken to the jungle while Bulba makes his way back up to top, and Way2 did find level 6, got about half a level's worth of experience, so he's going to have his familiars ready to go, and as we can see, already out in lane.
Looking at the gold graph, 2,000 in favor of Liquid. XP graph, fairly similar story here. And looks like the Observer Ward for EG will not be dewarded mid, so that's a big boon for them. And they have a ward up on bottom, so Universe aptly should be scared because he only sees 2 heroes in mid and nobody on bottom.
And not a whole lot of rotation now, as Bulba's getting what he wants. I mean, he's only 400 gold away from having a point booster, first big item after Arc Boots that'll allow him to start feeling like a Timber should. Now we're going to see Liquid try to collapse on bottom, though. TC with Way2 behind him. And there's the drums done. TC shows his face. Valera's right there with him. Let's see.
Is this the drums war? Jo almost has his, too. They're like the exact same hero.
And Fear has rotated the top. They might go for a kill. Fear has an epicenter. And Bulba pulling back.
Middle tower is under attack.
Fear still hiding out behind the lone tree.
Yep, nice. See, this is an experienced player. He has clarity, so he has enough mana for his combo. If he TPs, he doesn't have enough. And are they going to be able to kill him? Koikva checking around for the 12-minute. Oh, a regen for Storm Spirit. That is so unfortunate for EG. But it looks like they may go on top here. They're definitely ready for it.
Yep, Fear keeping an eye on things. Night has come. I'm a little surprised we haven't seen Mirana just blow the Moonlight Shadow and let them make it happen that way. In the meantime, Liquid is pushing out on bottom. They're trying to get in an offensive position. Only the 2, MSS and Fog down here as of right now, as we saw.
Jump.
Up at top. We're going to see them cut out. There's going to be the Burrow Strike. Here comes a bunch of TPs. There's the epicenter, but slowed down from Chakram, unable to catch up with Bulba or Koikva.
Misplay by Universe there. He could have turned around and stunned.
Down on bottom, we can see they're going to end up taking the tier 1 up at top. EG forced back. They took a lot of damage there. No kills on either side, but that's a win for Liquid as they take a free tier 1 uncontested.
Yeah, Universe has been playing like a little bit shoddy lately. Like yesterday, he was like not too great on his, I believe, Bounty Hunter, and he died after like when Storm came up and already used like most of his mana jumping. He just walked up and got Vortex, and then right then he didn't turn around and stun the Storm Crusader, which had almost been a certain kill because he would just taken so much damage from Epicenter.
And TC making up quite a bit of ground in terms of that gold. He's got 1,200 to go with his drums and his phase up at top. We see Jo showing off his movement speed, might try to make something happen. Here's going to be Fogged and Fear moving out in mid. Way2 needs to be careful if he gets caught out, obviously. A Visage not going to stand up too well to there, but looks like they're just content to farm TC for a little while. I'm like you, I'm a little surprised we haven't seen more activity out of the Storm-Nakes combination.
I'm surprised we haven't seen more activity out of MSS. He got his blink a few minutes ago, but just not seeing any lassos. And if he were up there on top, it would have been a dead Storm Spirit too. So he didn't do anything on bottom. It's not like he stopped the push. It's not like he even delayed the push or got a kill. So I don't really know what MSS is doing. And this is the thing about MSS decision making. He gets his blink dagger, but what he actually does with the blink dagger is not what it could be.
We see Liquid getting a ward down. They've got 2 under cover of smoke. That smoke went about a quarter time now. They're going to try to catch out Universe. Universe has his ulti if he has to use it. He's got help coming behind as well. Going to be a big engagement. And they try to jump on him. Now they might be in trouble. Here comes Jo leading the charge. Way 2 TC and Valera going to try to run. Drum charge busted. Valera turns around, throws the ulti after the Nova. MSS going to get a blink and unable to catch up. Trying to snag Way 2. And TC actually hits him with the open wounds just to secure their exit. Fog going to land a Gale, though, and this might be a gimme. There's the Sacred Arrow. Here comes a Nake's Bomb, though. Out comes TC, jumping on Fog, and Mirana's Moonlight Shadow popped to give them a way to retreat if they want. It's a 2-for-1 so far, so EG might be content with that Fear.
Lasso right now.
There it is. Quakefoot brought back Fear. There with the Burrow Strike to follow. TC now left in no man's land. We're going to see the Timber coming in, though, doing what damage he can. Can they pursue him out? We're going to see Universe cleaned up on the back of the fight. In the meantime, MSS and Jo going to make a run for it. The Healing Ward helps out a bit. Valera back off of Respawn and trying to help lead the charge. Bulba's right there. There's going to be a Timber Chain right through MSS. Doesn't have a lot of mana, though. Going to have to be very forgiving with his Chakram. Throws it out, brings it back. Now just 50 mana. Here comes Fog. That should be enough to ward off Liquid as Bulba exhausts his mana supply.
Yeah, again, Universe with like the slight misplay. He was frostbitten. You can still turn. He could have turned and leapt into the river and survived, but instead just barely missing the cliff too because he just went diagonal up and left instead of straight north. I'm not exactly sure why he did that, but Universe they need more. They need more like arrows out of him. They need more farm on him, and he needs to die less. Jo, though, at least they're surviving that fight. TC did too. So these carries are like very, very similar in terms of farm. Storm Spirit is doing okay. He's closing in on his Orchid.
And up here at top, Quakefo spotted out. Universe will go ahead and deny that bottom tower. As you mentioned, the Storm making good progress towards his Orchid. Already has one of his Oblivion Staffs up. And looks like they're content to fall back. The big winner there, TC's already got up his armlet, ready to go. So building a little bit of damage and survivability now. I'm with you about MSS. I mean, he kind of whiffed on the first attempt at the lasso. That allowed them to reset a bit. But
yeah, he missed the flame break too.
Yeah. But they also, I mean, they're just not really giving him a lot of opportunities. I mean, he can't go make things happen on his own. He has to have a supporting cast at this stage of the game anyway. And between
it should be really easy though. It's like, okay, you lasso, epicenter, burrow strike, easy kill. Mirana arrow into a double starfall, easy kill too. They have omni slash even. It should be very easy for them to pick kills off, but they're just not really moving together as a team. Now they finally are though. They have a smoke coming. Fear already has his arcane boots too, so that's pretty good for him. But it's going to be like a 25-minute blink at the earliest for him, and. Yeah, Bulba is getting super tanky too, and they need blinks. They need to be able to keep him down. Looks like they're trying to kill Quakefoot on top. Is he going to be able to find the blink lasso initiate though?
Quakefoot
like
sniffs it out.
Senses it out. Yeah.
Yep, sniffs it out. Knows something's up.
They know someone's around here though, because this camp just died and the respawn was just 20 seconds ago. So they suspect that he's over there, but will not. So Quakefoot narrowly dodges a gank.
Looks like they may go ahead and collapse on mid, and Way 2 trying to get out.
Firefly is down though, so they have to wait like another 20 seconds. At least they don't have a ward up here. Quakefoot might actually straight up run into them. And we'll see how fast their reactions are. Nope, they will actually just... I think they should have just kept staying up there.
Yep.
But I guess they might have suspected that Liquid has a ward up here, but that's why you have sentries. Because if they can keep that positioning, boom.
Oh, there's Bulba.
Right
Throws out the Chakram and going to eat the Omni Slash. MSS is there. Will end up getting the lasso off, but not before the Infest is there. And trying to turn this around. Fear going to end up getting the Epi off, doing a bit of damage, but not nearly as much as he would like, as EG feeds 2 for 1. Jo got the Omni off, but again, that Timber feeling so tanky, just so hard to put any kind of pressure onto a Timber Saw early in lane, and this is what happens whenever you don't get enough out of the fact that he is largely immobile for the first bit of the game. And Liquid now leading 10-8 in terms of kills. The gold heading way in their favor. They're at close to 7,500 to their advantage. The experience slightly there as well, but EG likely to put a dent here if they can bring down the tier 1, which by all accounts they should be able to do.
And yeah, Sanking's blink just keeps getting delayed until Fear 03 visit with a very nice deny with that bird.
Yep, using the familiar to rob EG of a bit of gold.
They need tower gold so badly though. EG's falling very far behind in terms of gold right now. 5,000. And yeah, I think they could have just sat up on this hill. There's no reason for them to force the issue with the tower, because if someone jumps on Venomancer, he's probably still going to get his ultimate off, and they're probably still going to win the fight. So they have to pick and choose their engagements more carefully.
Universe serving as bait for TC. Jo got to come around. Had a spin.
There's nothing they can do versus TC.
Yeah,
he is on his armlet. He's super farmed compared to Jo.
Yep, almost 1,500 gold ahead of him at this point. And I'll tell you what's scary is Way2's actually making very, very good progress towards his Scepter, and at the same time, Storm just finishes his Orchid. Now, Koikva, this is where Storm Spirit becomes not just a big initiation threat, but as a solo ganker threat as well.
Mm-hmm. He is super scary, and Juggernaut's very, very vulnerable to that silence, especially if he doesn't actually get a Manta first or Manta early, and you rarely see Juggernauts get BKB, so it's pretty much only a Manta style that's going to save him from the Orchid burst, and there's the Orchid in use.
Yep. Down to bottom, Koikva and Bulba going to manage to secure the kill on to Fear. Jo had the healing ward down. And right now, this mid-game punching power of Liquid really just beginning to show itself. Up at top, TC will engage on the Universe, force another leap. Looks like we're going to have a fight in the jungle, perhaps. And, yep, there's the lasso on to Valera. And, you know, this is another problem, to be honest, that EG's having. They're getting kills and staying close. I mean, it's 9-11 in terms of kills, so, I mean, pretty much dead even. But the kills they're getting are not nearly as high impact as the kills that Liquid's getting. For example, killing Fear. Just keeping him that much further away from his Blink Dagger. Killing Mirana, killing the Bat, etc. Way2 will dodge a Sacred Arrow. But the kills that EG is seeming to get are usually on the Visage and the Crystal Maid, and those are of value.
I mean, Visage almost has Scepter, too, as we talked about earlier, so it's not like they're even stifling his farm that much.
Yeah, it's like they're just not... They're not getting a whole lot out of the kills they're getting. They're getting rebuttal kills and then not a whole lot more.
I think that Liquid needs to get a Medallion and do Roshan very, very soon. They can keep pressuring the T1 or just get map control, like on this area of the map over here. Just keep using Storm Spirit to pick off anyone who wants to farm alone. They also need to set up wards in that junction. Storm Spirit looking for... Yep, they know he's over there, but they can't really do anything about it unless they have like Bat plus Jo or Bat plus 2 now, and that's a problem. Like, they didn't really get that many kills as soon as Batrider has his blink, and now they have to commit more and more people to each gank because Liquid's just getting way too farmed already. A Bloodstone out on Timbersaw.
Yep. And Jo is making good progress towards his Scepter. He's about 500 gold off of it. So not to say that EG's completely out. I mean, again, you know, whenever you look at the goal graph, it's actually significantly more than it seems to be, just because you have the second line that's very, very close there, meaning it's about to jump up to a bigger measurement standard. So you're talking about 6,000-ish, 6,500-ish gold lead for Liquid right now, so one big item lead. The experience is in that same range as well. So, I mean, EG is kind of at this cusp where 22 minutes and with a fairly mid-game centric lineup, I mean, Lifestealer Timber is just going to be better late than any...
HOD on Lifestealer. That, I don't even remember the last time I've seen that.
Yeah.
That's a very, very unusual build. And, I mean, maybe you get in 6.78 to dominate Necronomicon, but as of, like, now, I mean, armor's nice for him. I guess he wanted another armor item because of Omni Slash, but, like, I think you can just go HP at that point, or, like a... Sange Nyasha or something, or just a Sange into a Heaven's Halberd would be pretty useful for him. I'm very surprised that he went this build.
Yeah. As you said, it's probably has to do with the armor. Hold on. EG going headhunting. They could give Bulba. That'd be a nice pick. And they're going to be able to snag him. Can they clean him up? Fog there. Going to land the Gale. Burrow Strike is there. And here comes the Epi. And unfortunately for Bulba, the damage output just as high as we knew it would be. Koikva will end up dodging a Sacred Arrow in bottom, but very nice pick for EG. Shame they couldn't do it before the Bloodstone came up, but being able to get rid of some of those charges is certainly nice.
Yeah, as you said before, like, they're getting kills, but they're not even really getting kills.
Yeah.
For example, like the first blood was, or second blood was denied on bottom.
Universe
denied himself.
Caught out, and see, that's a much more important kill for Liquid than even Bulba dying was. And that's been the tone of the whole game. Like, every time they exchange, they might be breaking even, but Liquid is just getting heroes and delaying things. I mean, what has Universe done this game? I mean, he's working on a BKB, and what's that really going to accomplish? He's sitting at 2-3-2. Okay, so he's going to be more survivable. So what? You're all in on an Aghanim Scepter Juggernaut? I mean, that's kind of the situation EG finds himself in, and Liquid knows it. That's why they're going to feel confident going into Roshan now.
Yeah, I mean, HOD is very useful for Roshan, but I think if you can just get a Medallion, you can just get Timber to tank, you can get a Vlad's.
Right.
All those I think are better use of the gold. But if it secures them a Roshan, all the more power to them. And if Koikva gets this, I mean, EG is just looking really, really bad because they're an ultimate dependent team. Like, after they use their ultimates and a TC or Koikva has another life, they are just screwed.
Dire's top tower, Roshan has fallen
And
to the Dire.
Storm Spirit grabbing the Aegis, certainly not the hero you want to have in Aegis. Storm just such a huge threat when he can play that recklessly in a big engagement. Up at top, we can see Jo still trying to find his farm, just Scepter and Drums to go with his phase boots right now. Take a look at the net worth. He is beginning to build a very impressive lead for himself. TC is, I should say. Sitting at about 2,300 ahead of Jo at this point. And
Ooh, Basher coming out on Lifestealer soon too. That's a really big issue. Like, there's no one that can man fight him. Rana doesn't have damage items. Juggernaut only has Scepter, so he's pretty much all his damage is during his ultimate. And they like EG. What they need to do is just find a really quick picks and just use Omni Slash, use Lasso, and then just keep getting small picks here and there on like Lifestealer if they have like 3 ultimates maybe. Even Visage I think is a pretty high priority at this point. Like, just get kills when you can. Try and avoid far fights, especially with the Aegis. And most importantly, stop dying to Koikva.
Radiant's
That's
bottom
a
tower
tall
is
order
under
though.
attack.
Fear finally does pick up his Blink Dagger. He does have level 2 Epi too, as he's a level 11. So this is really, I mean, Fear, when you take a look at the levels, he's not in awful position, but the problem is the people he really needs to damage are getting up there, and not just items, but levels as well. So having level 2 Epi, like right now is when Fear has to be of high value. They need a couple of really good Epi centers in the upcoming engagements. But we're just at 26 minutes in, and to be honest, I don't know that Liquid needs to feel pressured to do anything.
They aren't pressured at all. Just
Yeah.
because Lifestealer scales so much better with the items that he went, Fear just gets picked off in mid.
Yeah.
And like, even Visage is a real big problem at this point. Timber has a ton of items too. Koikva scales very, very well. He'll have his Sheep soon, or Linkus if he wants to do that. And Lifestealer already had his Basher. He'll get an Abyssal in like less than 10 more minutes. So EG, they need to make something happen, but Liquid doesn't really care because they have the Aegis right now. They have the Bloodstone. They have so many more items. They can just take towers out right now. Liquid, they feel like no pressure at all. They shouldn't.
Is under attack.
And we're going to have another jump right on the Jo. And Scythe used. There's a Frostbite. Force Staff might be enough. Nope, never mind. Mega kill streak for TC. And we can see he's had a standout game, sitting at 5-1, accounting for more than a third of the kills. That he's actually been involved in 10 of the 14 kills that Liquid has notched, and might end up being involved in his own death. TC caught out, but there's the epicenter. Is the damage enough? Koikva will end up dropping MSS. Makes it away with not a lot of health. TC still alive. Aegis popped off of Koikva at the very least. They should be able to track Bulba down. Might be able. Yep, there we go. And was going to say...
Sign of life.
Yep, showing a pulse, man. They end up trading 2 for 1, but even then, I mean, hold on, they're not done. This would be pretty bad, losing yet another hero. So, and that's the thing, is Liquid just, they're counter-punching so much better. I mean, it's the items are way too big, the heroes are getting way too tanky, and the mobility really is becoming the issue on for EG. The mobility between the Timbersaw and between Koikva and the Storm Spirit is just allowing them to bounce back into these fights or come in after fights and just go ahead and make up any ground that they feel like they've lost. And you can see, basically from minute 1, that goal graph, while it has evened out at times, has really never been moving up in favor of EG for any period of time, and now getting down towards 5-digit lead territory for Team Liquid.
Mm-hmm. And the important heroes keep dying to Koikva too. Jo just died in mid. We just had a few minutes before that we had Mirana die on Ponder. She has BKB, but look at her damage right now. It's just a 150. She attacks very, very slowly. She has no attack speed items, and I mean, it's not going to help her farm up and gear for the 40-45 minute late game either. And meanwhile, look at Lifestealer, 2,000 gold, drums, HOD, armlet, Skull Basher. He has 17 armor. They don't really have anything that can pierce through that either. No Desolator, not even a Medallion, no AC coming up anytime soon, and he's just nigh impossible to kill.
And right now, EG, though the scoreboard tells us it's close, is they're getting to the point they're kind of on the ropes. It's not enough that they trade even anymore. Picks honestly aren't enough. They need picks, they need towers, they need map control.
This was scouted. The bait was scouted out though. They shouldn't have come up. Like if Jayo's there and then Koikva goes on them without the Aegis, that's the kind of pick that they need. And then they take the T1 and then start slowly gaining map control. But they're like very eager to jump the gun and just reveal themselves a little bit too early. If they were just slightly more patient, like for example when they were pushing the mid and they were sitting up here, if they were slightly more patient, Koikva would have walked right into them. And they're just they just need to wait on these ganks and just read Liquid's movement a little bit better.
MSS under cover of an invis and smoke.
Radiant's bottom tower
If he can land a nice lasso here and they could take this tier 2 and begin to put some pressure on Liquid's jungle, they could get right back into it just that quickly. They really need a nice hook out of him though. And
yeah, but if this fight goes like against their favor, like Jayo gets picked off and then the lasso gets stopped, they are like almost completely out of this game. So very risky push for EG.
Oh, Universe jumped on. Out comes TC. They're going to be able to blow him up. There's a lasso. That's actually going to disjoint that a bit. And here comes the epicenter. Nice re-engagement coming out of EG. Sacred Arrow will connect on Quake. Off goes the Poison Nova from the Venomancer. Liquid trying to hold the line. And Valera going to be able to get off a full freezing field. Finally, though, Fear able to get that kill. Universe did survive, and that's what we were talking about, needing a really nice lasso out of MSS. They definitely got it. He's going to end up dying. So it's going to be a 3-for-3 exchange, not what EG really wants or needs. Can't afford to continue going blow for blow like
should
this.
have popped his healing ward too. I don't know why he didn't pop it. It would have been pretty big for that fight. Also, TC escaped with like almost no HP. He armlet toggled through the poison on Venomancer, which was actually pretty surprising to me. But yeah, I mean, EG could have gotten just a tiny bit more out of the fight. If they got TC, I would say it's an even trade, but unfortunately they did not.
Yep, the lasso definitely. Without that lasso, that fight's over before it starts. Universe able to leap away. BKB showing why even though it's costing him any kind of damage if he had gone damage items, he did manage to survive that fight and contribute his ulti and contribute his Sacred Arrow. But well played by MSS. That might have been the kind of fight that could have basically put the game out of reach. Instead, they it's still a win for Liquid as we suspected. I mean, every time they take a fight like that, if they go even, they're just going to come out ahead by virtue of how well they're farming and how much further ahead their item progression is. Up, hang on a bottom. We're going to have a gank onto our Mirana once again.
That's why BKB's not so useful.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Universe just having a tough one, man. Universe is sitting at 3-4-3, and to be honest, this felt like very little of a factor. And now an Abyssal done on TC. Things getting pretty ugly pretty quick. Jayo's going to have some major problems.
Yeah, EG's going to have major problems in general. Gold lead extended to about 12,000, but they have like pretty much full map control right now. And if they get a BKB up on Quakefoot too, it's like he's going to be super impossible to kill. He's actually going Lincoln's, which I'm not. I think is fine in this case. It'll block Sand Stun. It'll block Lasso. Those are pretty good spells to block. And they just need to take out Roshan, give it one more time to Koikva, and then just keep picking engagements with EG and keep trading well. And then just take out T2s. And it should be a relatively easy game to close out for Liquid. EG, they just have to have like the most amazing team fights I've ever seen if they want to come back.
I've actually always kind of liked Lincoln's on Storm Spirit. Like you said, it's much more rare than a BKB. I mean, Orchid BKB is basically the cookie-cutter build for Storm. But Lincoln's, with the stack gain you get, it tanks you up, lets you feel a little bit more survivable, helps you shore up your mana issues. And, I like seeing Koikva grabbing this item, as you mentioned, especially to block, if nothing else, Bad Rider's Lasso. Huge spell for him to be able to avoid. So right now, both teams falling back and continuing to just fill out their inventories. We can see Timbers actually picked himself up a Ghost Scepter plus an Ogre Club on his way to a BKB, so he's in pretty good shape. TC with the Abyssal and 1,400 gold aside, moving along quite nicely. Way too sexy going to have an Assault Cuirass very, very soon. That's kind of silly how just how farmed he is. And it's not like it's because he's notched 10 kills. Like sometimes you'll see a Visage just go crazy in terms of items because he'll go like 5-1 in the first 15 minutes just by using Soul Assumption. He's sitting at 3-3. He's just been very efficient, very smart, played a good game of Dota, and his inventory filling out quite impressively.
He should have gotten a pipe though. Like if they survive the ultimates on EG, and granted AC does help a little bit with that, but if they survive the epicenter and the Venomancer ultimate too, they can definitely win the fight. Just because their heroes aren't ultimate dependent. Like Lifestealer is just rage dependent, Storm Spirit's mana dependent, Visage just does tons of damage, and Timbersaw very short cooldowns too. So all they need to do is survive.
EG at this point running together, and they have to really. I mean, with knowing what a threat Koikva is, and seeing him bounce lane to lane, and especially now seeing the Lincolns, as I'm sure they spotted it out. I mean, EG just can't afford to split up at all. I mean, even Fear being out here is a pretty big liability.
They're just going to take out Roshan right now, and DG really can't do anything about it. Gold Lee's probably going to go to like 15,000, and then they can just farm for like one more big item maybe if they need to. I mean, like Satanic on Lifestealer, make him even harder to kill. Maybe like a Sheep on Storm Spirit, and then they can be looking to play very, very aggressively around the T2s.
Flawed getting them some vision. And Liquid now rotating down to this bottom right corner of the map. Potential for a fight grows higher and higher. There is two great initiators on both sides. I mean, MSS on the bad, and of course Koikva on the standout Storm Spirit. Koikva has had a pretty solid game, 4-3-9, not overly impressive, but involved in 13 of.
I mean, even though he's 4-3 and he's died 3 times, he's still just massively contributed to Liquid's mid game. And he, as long as TC's not dying too, and Koikva at least trades an important kill like Jo or Mirana, then they're going to be way far ahead.
Yep, he's been involved in 13 of Liquid's 19 kills, which on its own is a pretty big deal. Liquid might try to reinitiate off of this. We can see Koikva getting into position. He's locked and loaded with a Lifestealer inside. We'll keep an eye on him. And here we go. Going to jump right on Jo as he came forward. There's MSS, but he's not going to get there in time. He's going to be blown up. This is a big loss for EG, and they're not done. TC going to open wounds fog. TC will eat the Venomous Gale, and Koikva's going to come out. Here comes Fear with an Epicenter that catches basically nothing but way to. And Fear, term we use for this is screw Ed. That'll be a 4-for-0 trade. That'll be a Roshan, and that might end up being the last nail in EG's Game 1 coffin.
I think they should have banned out the Storm Spirit. It's actually pretty common for people to take Storm Spirit versus Bat Rider middle. I don't know why Fear didn't see that coming, or whoever the drafter was for EG, but I think that was a big oversight because it was very obvious that they needed a carrier for the Lifestealer, and if they don't get pucked, there's Quap, or if they don't get pucked, there's Storm Spirit. If they don't get Storm Spirit, there's Quap. So you kind of have to ban out at least. I think Puck and Storm Spirit are the bigger issues because Bat Rider still does decently versus Quap and mid, but yeah, I think just letting Liquid get Storm Spirit, and Koikva played it very, very well. They just weren't prepared for it at all, and it's not like they don't have the lockdown for it. It's just they didn't really have the play style or the firepower to keep them low.
Visage completes his Assault Cuirass. At this point, Koikva can one-shot buy a BKB if he so desires, and just basically guarantee that between that and his Aegis and his Lincolns, he is simply not going to die the next time they decide to go fight. And we'll see what he wants to do. Bulba is making good progress as well. He's only about 200 gold from his BKB, if that's what he wants to pick up with that Ogre Club. We'll have to wait and see, though. Koikva, once again locked and loaded. Moving through the Radiant jungle, going to be looking for a target somewhere. And might have a chance to catch Fogged. But at this point, I mean, level 20, in great shape. Veno's actually completed a Scepter, so helps out. And yep, there's Bulba's BKB. So Magic Community on the big old Timber Saw, and Liquid at this point basically in victory formation.
Yep. Yes, they are. EG just desperately trying to hold on, but yeah, with that Aegis, it's almost impossible for them to win a fight right now. Koikva +1 can pick off somebody, especially with the relatively slow last fight. I think he wanted to pop his BKB before, or he was just like a little bit too far back, but without an instantaneous reaction to the Storm Spirit jump, they're just going to lose the fight.
Look at this tier 3 meld, or tier 2 meld rather. So much damage. Minus armor, certainly helping out with that. And that Assault Cuirass really is such a smart pickup for a Visage. It's just not something that's super intuitive, and we're just going to jump across the whole map, aren't we, Koikva? Just jumped literally from lane to lane. He just jumped from the tier 2 mid to the former location of tier 2 bottom, and still has 500 mana left over just for funsies. And the rest of Liquid now just about ready to start cracking through. MSS is down for 40. He does not have a buyback. Only 2 buybacks on the board belong to Liquid. We're actually going to see a TP back Fear trying to do what he can at top. I'm actually surprised Liquid cares. And we're going to see Jo get stunned out by the Visage Familiars. Timbersaw will get the tower. There's TC going to eat the Omni Slash. He will be able to infest into Valera. Valera not going to be any more survivable, though. And just like that, EG might be able to make something happen. Jo, actually, never mind. As soon as his Blade Fury wore off, never had a chance. Universe might be on the way to another death. Here comes Bulba. Timber chaining back in, and that'll be that. GG's likely to come out pretty soon. Scythe of Ice now done. That's actually a good pickup for Storm as well, opting to go with more lockdown instead of more survivability. But EG Swan Song roughly has been sung. And not sure if we lost Ben.
Radiant's middle tower.
Yeah, they're just. It's pretty much over at this point.
Yeah, TC gonna be caught
actually
out. There's a lasso gonna grab out TC as well. They might be able to get him. Nope, just too tanky. MSS.
Too much farm on him.
Yeah, there we go. There's the GG. Just wanted to make sure we still had you on the line, man. You're a little quiet, little introspective, soul searching regarding EG's bad luck or what?
They need a better draft. I don't like the early Juggernaut pick. He did like some stuff, but they really just need a late gamer that can deal with PL late game, like even Phantom Lancer or something like that. Gyro or Alchemist with his own Abyssal. I think that would have been a lot better. They also need to ban out the Storm Spirit. I don't think they played particularly poorly. I think that MSS could have done a little bit more in the 10 to 20 minute phases of the game, besides him passively farming up as well as Murata dying. Universe really needs to step it up though if EG wants to win this series, but very great performance by Liquid even with the stand-in.
Could agree with you more. Like you said, the fact they did it with a stand-in is all the more impressive. MSS, again, roughly a break-even performance. That's kind of what we saw out of them yesterday. 5, 5, and 6. Still gaining some experience, and EG still trying to find their groove. They're going to have to find it quick in game 2, otherwise Liquid's going to end up hanging yet another loss on them. And TL certainly searching for their first notch in the win column. 39 minutes, 39 seconds, the time it took for Liquid to take the 1-0 lead. 16-29, the final kill score when all was said and done. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers. Thanks again, guys, for being a part of the broadcast. This is our front end of our 2 best-of-3 day here on the HyperX D2L. The voice you're hearing on the other end, that's Merlini, and we'll get our information to pop up in just a moment. Come on. Come on. I want to do the finger thing. There it is. Anyway, guys, thanks so much. You can follow us both right there at AC and at Merlini Dota. And we're going to be stepping into game number 2 quick, fast, and in a hurry. So stick with us. Don't go anywhere. I guess you can go grab the Monster Energy if you must. But we'll be right back here on the HyperX D2L.